Alright, ladies and gentlemen, episode 106 of the challenge series has arrived. A lot of side stories coming up, and that's kind of delayed to things, but um yeah, we're here for the proper episode. It's an odd one. That's all I'll say. There's a lot of shit going on. You'll see what I mean. Let's just get into the first race. There's not any weird things going on here, but also once again testing another new mic, hoping it sounds at least a little better. I'm worried there might be some massive echoing going on, so well, just we'll just have to find out. Episode 106 is underway, and it's the lowest division, the 600 class, running at what I like to call the Olympic Rings circuit of Suzuka East. And we are riding along with Hasumi, I don't know. I think I'd know how to pronounce that. Nepgear, which just goes by that anyway. And the little Sylvia that could not, basically. It was kind of the laughing stock of the Sunday Cup qualifiers when she literally attended all 5 races that week and still didn't make it into the Cup. Currently stuck in a traffic jam, along with her sister. He was drift on her outside. Her sister's kind of running James still a little bit wide. He ends up in the grass for his troubles. And you're seeing one of the weird things there. We'll get into this a bit later, but I guess Black Stallion Motorsports is under new ownership. Rich man Nick Ambrose bought it out. And we're looking at Tuco De Santos' truck. Another F-150 added to that stable. Tyler McIntosh recently redesigned his new, I say new, Charger after a single appearance of the original. Monty Jensen also has a Toyota Alphard van, which you didn't really get a chance to use last week because there was no race in this category last week. And running near the top of the field at the moment, Tomas Pager has finally brought his actual favorite car. He's been running the AMG GTR for a while, but his first love was actually the 300 SEL. 300 SL. SEL, SL. German names suck, okay? Germany doesn't know what words are. They just name every car after, like, a letter and number combination. It's really irritating and kind of hard to keep track of. Nepgear, not even a third of the way through the race, already getting pretty close to the top 5 cars. 9 laps here, gonna run us just short of 9 minutes, if not right at 9 minutes. I think it'll be a little less, though. ES14 is a huge run. They're gonna go 3 wide on the front stretch. Nepgear will be easily clear before she has to worry about braking for 1. Scott Weber will not be so lucky, but he will be able to get ahead of the Mazda anyway. Pager is slowly catching up to Compa in the lead. Kind of an old car battle going on at the very front. 1970s versus, I think, late 50s. And then here comes the mid-90s, slowly making her way up there. That's, of course, Nepgear's teammate currently leading the way in the 240Z. Looks like Nepgear has quite a run. Pager will take a defensive line, but that really won't matter too much. The overspeed is way too excessive for him to deal with. Around the outside of her teammate, Nepgear is going to try and force that issue and get ahead at the earliest convenience, and she does so. That's a bold move around the outside of one. That's Suzuka. That's something you see, like, professionals do, maybe. Not this. But that will put Nepgear in the lead over her teammate. So it is a Planetoon 1-2, and then Neptune is having not so great a time, running in 15th, even behind in Noir. Scott Weber looking to move himself up yet another place, and he will easily get by Watanabe before he even has to break for one. The focus is definitely weak in a straight line, and I think just about everybody knows that. Looking around the rest of the field, it's pretty single file right now. And we have like the battle for 18th. Carlton has a run on Miko into turn 1, but he will tuck in behind her. The run stalled out when he pulled out from her slipstream. Three to go for the leading S14 of Nepgear, and it's a pretty comfortable lead, probably about 2 seconds, I would say, over Kampa, who herself has about 1.5 over Pager. Man, this race really did settle out. Once Nepgear took the lead, the passing in the race pretty much came to a grinding halt. We're now on the final lap. We've skipped 2 entire laps of racing simply because literally nothing happened in them. And Nepgear's not far from lapping James Stillwell, such as the difficulty he's had keeping that car on the road and out of danger since he was involved in a crash, I think on lap 2 with not sure who. I want to say with Carlton. But although she failed to make the Sunday Cup, she didn't get the races that counted though. But making up for it a little bit, Nepgear will head out of the last turn here from the Suzuka East Circuit and grab a comfortable victory. Her teammate Kampa will do the same about 3 seconds later for a Planetoon Racing 1-2 result, and Pager gets a nice dandy 3rd place with his new 300 SL. The other debuting vehicles of the race, well, really just vehicles. Yeah, vehicles. These two right in the middle of the field, pretty much. 11-12, so, considering I think they started outside the top, yeah, 300 SL. There's no E. I'm just an idiot. Anyway, on to round 2. It is the very late evening here in Tokyo, so we get set for the 7:15 category race at the, as the commonly known as the Gemini layout. You can see the sun setting here in the pre-race screens. Oh yeah, we jumped straight from 600 to 715. We're kind of just going in no particular order, as is pretty much always the case. So, let's just head into the race, I suppose. No, I have nothing else to say. And the 7:15 category round is underway. Shoji Hakure once again uses, and I say once again, it's because it's another NSX getting a good start like we had last episode with Honoka, but now it's the other NSX in this category getting a really good launch with 4-wheel drive, blowing the doors off of myself and Nico. Now I thought that was 3 wide for a second. That was interesting. If I remember, I think it actually was in the back from what I had been heard. What, English? Hello? The onboard car is Ellie Ayase and her Porsche Cayman. Everybody makes their way through the dockyard area. And We do have, I think, exactly... Well, we have one new car, but we have some news regarding a lot more other ones. Here's the new car. A heavily modified 1980 Camaro RS. Driven by a brand new driver in the series. Fenny Golden. I don't know if that's her actual name. Up-and-coming Hollywood actress who does her own stunts. So... she wants to get a role in the Drive Fast, Drive Angry film, she's gonna have to learn how to drive. And she lets to do that here in the Challenge series, for some reason. Hopefully, she's not as much of a problem as the last Hollywood native that we had here, because, oh my god, I don't have enough Advil in my life for that. Natasha was enough. Thank you very much. As our POV car is already into 8th place, looking at 7th. Giving actually Jake a bit of a nudge there. Now, I mean, he's literally driving a NASCAR paint scheme. I'm sure he's more than familiar with the concept of the bump and run, which is exactly what just happened there, by the looks of it. Not much contact made, but just enough of a nudge to get Jake off the inside lane. Finny's already mixing it up with another driver. She's too wide with Captain Falcon. It took the whole of turn 1 too wide, and they're going to continue to hold that pattern, as behind them, Jeff Parham and Ellie do the same thing. Benny ahead of the braking zone, but Falcon has that all-important inside lane. They're still too wide, he is super sideways. But that's what it takes to get him back to 4th place where he was originally, I guess. The other one of note is another new team. Like, actually new. This is really inconvenient. I'm somebody else with that. No, that doesn't work either. God, these stupid walls. Where's that Supra? There it is. You just see it on the bottom. Taniguchi Racing Team. Or TRT for sure. There's the windshield banner. That also works. As Akira ends up putting himself in the wall. Or maybe Fidel put him there. I couldn't really tell you, actually. Oh, Ellie does get stopped. Yeah, Taniguchi Race Team. Actually run by Hikari. And it has a lot of drivers on it. Let me tell you. As we have the first round of pit stops, Fenny had an incident, I believe, with Ellie, which was very interesting. And I cut away right before it happened, too. It was right after her battle with Falcon. She tried to go around us outside and just missed the turn, and took the exit of the dockyard so slowly that Ellie was just not ready. And it damaged both their cars. But yeah, among the ranks of Taniguchi Racing Team, we obviously have Hikari and his two siblings, Akira and Michiko. Also, Kazuya Takahata, whom I believe Hikari hired before even getting his brother's attention, much less his sister's. Akira and Michiko both convinced Noriaki to come along, and then because of that, Hyogo Sugimoto came along. Kyozo sees it as an opportunity to advertise his new, or not his new, but his rebranded performance shop downtown Tokyo. Obviously he can't race here because he doesn't have a 715 class car, he only has an MR2. Oh, Ellie's locking the brakes and gets into Nico. Stop the car. She does stop the car, but gets a little bit of damage in the process. Nothing dealt to Nico's, though, so I guess all's fair in that way. The light tap on the back of the Lexus didn't really matter too much, anyway. And then also the two other drivers Hikari got, he brought John Large on board as a fellow Nissan fan, even if he doesn't drive Skyline. Now Nico's put Ellie in the wall, and she is blaring the horn in displeasure. Nico herself probably a bit displeased after being knocked up into... Okay, now she's brake testing. Okay, what the fuck? Yeah, I didn't see exactly what happened, but I definitely know about this. Trust me, I know all too fucking well. They both oversteer out of the hairpin. I don't even know if I want to watch this, but I feel like I have to because it's the most action we're gonna get on the racetrack as it is now. Sunrise. I totally forgot it was not sunset. I always do that. Ellie tries to sneak through. Nico closes the door, runs into Ellie a third-ish time. And now Ellie has multiple suspension damage. Ellie returns the favor, runs into the back of her through the entire last turn. And all the while, Captain Falcon is getting a little bit closer. If we didn't have to do all this shit, this could have been like the easiest Mercury podium lockout of all fucking time. But instead, these two have to be literal children. So, yeah. I wasn't the happiest camper when I heard about this, especially considering what happened after the race, either. Ellie does eventually get ahead of Nico. But she kind of locks the brakes up again, and Nico, if gap car mentality, just sends it through the inside of the Cayman driver. Ellie returns the favor. Yeah, this is starting to look more like a destruction derby. Attempted quarter panel hit. Nico, I guess, probably expected it. I suppose who wouldn't be at this point? Too wide, heading towards the tunnel. Ellie finally gets clear of Nico, but fucking running. It took a little longer and a heck of a lot more contact than it had to. The Taniguchi Racing thing totally got derailed. I don't even remember where I was on that point. Now I have to, like, go back over my commentary notes in between. Another lockup from Ellie, and this one scared the shit out of me because I thought she was coming straight for me, but she actually managed to keep it, to save the car, even after pitching it into a 360. Especially with suspension damage, that's very impressive to do. You can tell she used to be a ballerina. A little pirouette for good measure. The suspension damage is very much... It's not crab walking or leaning in any direction because it's equal damage on both sides, but it's making the car really unsteady, as Ellie has just found out for the third time. Even still, she nearly drifts the thing around my outside. And if she hadn't locked up the brakes a fourth time in the race, and lost all control of her car on exit, she would have still beat me, which is just crazy to think that her wounded Porsche still had so much pace. Mind you, I wasn't exactly going very fast. I was kind of driving at like 70% because, I figured I had an easy win after these two were being children, but no, Ellie almost proved me dead wrong. In spite of Nico and Ellie's best efforts to not finish up here, it is going to be a Mercury 1-2-3 as I head across the start-finish line to win here from Tokyo. Ellie second and Nico third, but admittedly, it was a little more than a hollow victory, I must admit. Yeah. Also Honoka in 6th. She started about 17th, so a really solid run for her as well. Sounds like a NASCAR commentator. Hikari, unsurprisingly, carries the torch for the new Taniguchi Racing team, but I feel like just with sheer numbers alone, they will eventually start to bring in better results than a mere 8th place. In due time, anyway. But for now, on to round 3. And we are back to the Winter Wonderland for a second week in a row because this place has 3 different layouts. And the layouts are different enough from one another that it kind of felt like it warranted a second race in, you know, like a second consecutive week of going there, I guess. But yeah, the off-roads, or the special conditions category, as we've sort of renamed it. I keep calling it the off-road category, which still technically works. Some people keep forgetting it's not the dirt class anymore. because it's not just dirt now. It's the same exact regulations. The only difference is, oh, snow tires, not dirt tires. And if somehow somebody manages to screw that simple concept up of snow tires on the snow track, and they keep dirt tires on their car, that's their own problem. But, well, for the delays, Christmas has arrived early. And we're green for what, I mean, I call it a Christmas, but considering what I dealt with from this particular driver the day, prior, it felt more like a Nightmare on Elm Street. Well, I don't know what that enunciation was, but it was not correct. We do have two new cars in this race as well. So we're currently on board with Nico Yazawa. We have one new car near the front, and one new car currently near the back. Wow, Harada really got a bad start. He's back here with the rear-wheel drive cars. Honestly, the dirt, I'm still getting used to it myself. The special conditions category should just be multi-class. It should just be the cars that are four-wheel drive and the cars that are rear-wheel drive. Or rather, just the cars that are not four-wheel drive. Because they shouldn't even be on comparable levels, because it's just straight up not fair. Yeah, this is a trial layout of Lake Louise, as we can see. And we're currently looking at Nick Ambrose, who is ready to give his own interpretation of the Rally Stally. There's this, I was about to call it a snow hare. No, Riker, that's Rabbit. And then the other new car showing up in this race, I meant the one driver from Taniguchi Racing Team I didn't get a chance to mention. Blonde also joined the team. She was one of the first to do so the second that news spread that the team even existed. She jumped at the chance to get on a brand new team, and it just so happened that a lot of that team's drivers ended up with Toyotas. Out of the 9 drivers on that team, 4 of them used Toyotas, 4 used Nissans. And then there's just Noriaki Nakasato with an RX-7. Mika's already found her way into second place. Wasn't aware she had it in her to really race on snow. I mean, snow halation's one thing, but besides that, I don't really know that she has much experience in this kind of conditions. But that Celica is mad in the straight. That thing has so much torque, it is insanity. But here comes Nico with the super late braking! And that's not enough. The momentum stalls out. And then I know it does not stall out, but she slides out on exit, and Blonde does the double cutback, and they'll go too wide towards the triangular part of the trial. Over crest. High speed turn. And Blonde dives it in deep. Nico, not turning too well. Here comes Uni to try and join the fun as well. They don't really have much snow on that station, but they do have it in Raleigh, which is part of the reason why Blonde was so interested in getting on team. She basically wanted somebody that could help her set up a dirt racing brain off-road class car, and this Celica is the result of that. It's basically just the rally car from the 90s with like some alterations. Even down to the fake license plate that the car had to, to be a road-going car for what it needed to be. And Blonde's really put in a fight here. I should say, like, Nika, they're both put in a fight. I don't know how either of these two are here. Why isn't Colin or Sammy the leader? Those are the two with Snokes. When Solana's gotten ahead of Sammy, and he started way in the back a while ago. He was nowhere at the start of this race. Whilst I was focusing on that, Nico finally got the move done on Blonde with finality, crossing her over on exit of the triangle turn. And now we'll just take the money and run, I take it. Late apex at the final turn. that Yaris is going to get a heck of a run there, and she's going to be gone. Yeah. As you can see, though, I mean, the black tape over her rear fender says everything. Nico is, as of this moment, no, as of yesterday, well, as of the day before this race, I should say, no longer a driver for Mercury Racing. She had a bit of a meltdown, her and Ellie, and such was the force of their argument that it literally resulted in Nico just saying, "Fuck you, I quit." Not those exact words, but might as well have been those words. For all I could really care. In the meantime, battle for fourth. Harada trying to get around the Rallycross Master. The guy that, for all intents and purposes, should be leading this race, you would think, just by law of experience. My word, Harada is squirming over that jump. But he kept the car planted-ish. And he might get this move done. He'll have the inside lane. Very conservative on the brakes, but that is what is necessary. Morris tries a crossover, even tries to give him the bump, but it's not enough. Harada to fourth. And now it is a Subaru 3-4. Which is kind of funny. Also, I can't imagine Chelsea West is very comfortable right now, but she's going fast in that crazy Jeep of hers. It is four-wheel drive, but it's not stable, and it's not heated. It's 12 degrees here at Lake Louise, and she's here in an open-air Jeep. That doesn't strike me as comfortable. And Sneaker crosses for just 2 laps to go here. She's never been far away from Blonde, no more than a second between them at the moment, but she doesn't have to get away, she just has to stay ahead. And she's doing that. Harada repeated the same move he did to Morris. Just down the inside of turn 1, but this time did it a little later. You didn't even have a chance to cut back at him. Final lap for Nico and the Yaris. 164 at the braking point. And just swing that thing in there. I really was not aware that she had snow racing knowledge in her back pocket. I guess I maybe should have guessed, but I don't know. It's hard to give her much credit right now. I'm not really in the mood for it. Yeah, that's one half of the weird shit. The other half is just the crazy stuff that's going on with Ambrose Racing Company. Why I wasn't, you know, officially informed of that. But what I'm officially aware of is Nico heading out of the final turn here from the trial rollout. And we're just another jump to clear. Victory is hers. Blonde with a really good debut for that Celica, getting second place and fighting Nico for it for quite a while. Or for the lead, I should say, for quite a while. And the third goes to Tetsuya Harada. You wouldn't think that Sammy's the one with more snow racing experience, considering he ended up in 8th, and Tetsuya ended up in 3rd, but I guess it can never be perfect. And Harada was clearly on his game today, not that he doesn't have snow experience. So, to get from, I believe, 14th to 3rd, especially after the start that he got, I think he got caught behind one of the rear-wheel drive cars that got a terrible start, because they always will at this track. To get to 3rd, and probably could have gotten 2nd. He was right on Blonde's tail when the race ended. If fastest lap shows, he was definitely the fastest car on track by a good margin, so he just simply ran out of time. And race 4 will take us to Road Atlanta, the 640 category, which I believe was completely absent last week. But, yeah, we are here now for that, so I wasn't going anywhere. Yeah, I think it would have been a crime if it did. It's the second biggest category in the series, only behind the 675 class, which that one is the one that's absent this week. for the most part. But that's the technicality we'll get into later. But for now, Road Atlanta. And race 4 is away from Road Atlanta. I almost forgot the name, even though it was literally on my screen. Ruby will easily outdrag Suzushiro into turn 1. Front-wheel drive acceleration betraying the Suzuki driver, but she does hang on to second at the very least, if that's really any consolation. The all-wheel drive GTO of Yo almost got by her at the start. And speaking of getting by, the Ambrose Racing Company continues to make more and more appearances. This time they're in full effect here from Road Atlanta. I believe there's 4 drivers here from them. Obviously Ambrose and Tuco, but also Thomas and Natsuki making their first starts under the renamed outfit. Interesting thing, along with joining Taniguchi Racing Team, Kyoko Sugimoto has apparently really cleaned up her S14. She somehow managed to turn the giant scrape marks on the side into HKS branding, despite the fact the car doesn't have any HKS logos on it. We nearly got run over by Connor Nuzzling there. We are on board with McIntosh, Connor McIntosh, and his bright orange Subaru. Problems for Tuco De Santos. He and he alone must head into the pit lane. He has been collided with by somebody who didn't get damage from the collision himself, obviously. Kyozo's doing well on his TRT debut. And Kurora has gotten back ahead of Ruby, 2 delivery drivers, since Ruby is a part-time delivery driver herself, when she's not racing with her friends at DPT. And Kurora is kind of more of a full-time and a part-time racer. And then there's also Connor Nazang somewhere in the, right here, right smack in the middle, 10th place. So there's 3 delivery drivers amongst us. 3 drivers of what remains of Mercury and that. I think Chica might have been the one that hit him, I don't know. The only person that got damage on that lap, so I guess the logic would dictate. But beyond that, we also have 1 new driver in this race, RJ DiRocco, and an F-150, almost said an F-450, what in the world is that right here? An F-150 with a very unique design inspired by the album cover of a metal album. Also apparently JoJo's Bizarre Adventure on the side windows there. This is certainly an eclectic combination of things, but I think I get the idea. Tyler is fighting for 4th place against Thomas O'Reilly. Classic speed versus handling battle going on there. The 51 has all the power you could want out of this category, but that Impreza is going to have supreme traction and some decent cornering grip to go with it. As evidenced by the fact that he sends it around the outside. Does kind of get a little bit squeezed there, but still kind of nearby. Around the outside again, and this time it's not thwarted. Into 4th for the Impreza. 2 Toyotas and a Suzuki left for him to pass. Kurora is fending for her life at the moment. Kyozo tried to put a car into the gap, but he couldn't keep it alongside well enough. Rocco is trying to get ahead of Watanabe, but he's also trying not to get passed by Ambrose. It's a balancing act here in the upper mid-pack. And Tyler, too, trying to keep Thomas at bay, but also around the outside of Kurosawa, not quite. Oh, no, she has to double tap the brakes, and Tyler just embarrasses her at the apex into the podium places for the Subi. And Kurora's time in the sun is over. Kyozo Kitano will take the lead. No relation to Taro, by the way. Down the inside for the Subaru. Ugh, very close. Very close to contact, but none was made. And the Subaru into second after that running after that MR2. And I mean running it down. My god, he's already at the back of him again. Again, he's already at the back of the next car. Oh, kind of a little bit of a squeeze maneuver. Again, no contact, but sort of just a bit of not only defensive drive. I don't know what the term for that is. Kyozo's not having it. He's back down the inside in that MR2. That's still not enough. Four-wheel drive exit. Oh, Kyozo's back. Still not enough. Four-wheel drive exit speed versus actual power from the MR2. The Impreza lacks top end. The MR2 does not. Suzushiro not too far away either. And here comes Thomas O'Reilly. That's going to be an interesting mix. Speed versus power versus speed versus handling versus traction. And it's going to be handling winning the day as Kyozo gets back to the lead. Almost a three-car battle for the lead there, but Thomas had a really bad chicane that put him back almost in the clutches of Carrara. Tyler almost puts his car around the outside of the MR2. The door is shut though. He doesn't care. He'll go back on the outside for the fifth time, it seems like. Still nothing. Understeer, as a matter of fact. That is all he gets, but I don't know how he got here. How did we get here? That's not important, but what is important is Tyler has moved into the race lead with that maneuver. I don't even know. I still don't know how that worked. That should not have worked, in fact. He was going off the track until he wasn't. And then suddenly, he was then the new race leader. Now he's only got a handful of turns to go before he's won the thing. But he does not have the top speed necessary to escape Kyozo and Thomas. Thomas is absolutely running these two down with this horsepower of his. He's going to draw right up alongside the MR2. But he won't have any shot at McIntosh. Sends it. Oh. Kyozo braves the outside. Meanwhile, in the background, also a battle for fourth. Ambrose will win that battle, but it's going to be McIntosh winning the war. Out of the last turn, victory at Road Atlanta. Kyozo narrowly holds on to second. O'Reilly third. Ambrose fourth. Carrara fifth after a last-minute collapse, to say the least. Duraco with the fine debut, finishing sixth after starting, I think, roughly around there as well. 6th or 7th, I believe. That's really all there is to report, except for Tuco's clumsiness, and I think Lara and Kotori also got into it, based on context clues, but that is essentially all from the 640 class. On to the final race, the roulette race. The roulette race brings us to the circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya. And I had mentioned how there was no 675 class race, but it, we still had them. Well, with the 7 different 675 class cars participating in this roulette race, it kind of feels like it got turned into a makeshift race for them. Just that there also happened to be 13 other cars on the track that they weren't having to race against. That's about my commentary for that. Let's just jump into it. And we are away from the roulette race. Almost forgot the word roulette there for a minute. As everybody heads their way towards turn 1. The, Tenaguchi race teams in full effect here today. As pretty much, I think, every single one of their representatives is somewhere in this race. We also have some new cars. Ellie brings a Porsche 992 to the fold, shooting around the outside of Nick Ambrose in an F50. I mean, I guess you really can't ask too many questions. The guy is rich, he can buy an F50. And he's going to take it to the lead, forcing a lane to open underneath Liza Kaiser. Former Porsche driver Ellie will also overtake the former ace of the... Earth to Riker. What's I saying? Porsche overtake Porsche. There we go. And we also have Fenny with a secondary car. Actually, I think this is the primary car. Her previous appearance in a film was in a film called Heimdall, and she drove a Pantera that doesn't look much like this, but it is a Pantera. And from what I understand, this might or might not be just a modified version of the same stunt car that was used in the film. We also have somewhere... No, we don't. I'm just imagining. There are no other cars. We are on board with Jinte. That's the POV driver. As easy as that might be to forget, since I've neglected to speak on him for a whole lap, but that is the guy. Jinte slash Motoya Iwasaki. He's kind of goes by both at this point. Sneaks up the inside of Golden, who was forced wide as Stephanie Kaiser overtook. Battle of mother and daughter there, heading towards turn 4. Liza remains ahead at the moment. Stephanie's not done. They're so close to making contact, but it's fine. Jinte will get ahead of the Carrera, outbrake it into the chicane thing, get a way better exit than the 959, and he is with his fellow 750 class, I'm about to say compadres, companion, whatever the heck, opponents, competition, the others. You know, the 750 class should be leading the race, and now all three of the class's representatives are at the front. Even if Jinte is not really with them yet, it looks like he might be soon, the way he's making his way through this field. Stephanie also got ahead of her mom in the process. Almost said sister. No, that is not correct. At the moment, Stephanie is also leading the 715 class just by, you know, by the virtue that she's ahead of everything that isn't 750. So by process of elimination and similar logic, you'd have to assume. But that Pantera is good in the straight line. That's keeping up with the car a class above it at the straight. She's almost close enough to make a move. She's going to be tough to pass for the Fidanzi duo. She's definitely leading the 675 class. And by a safe bet, or by a safe bit too. It's going to be kind of difficult to uproot her from there. Ellie is still running nose to tail with Ambrose up ahead. And here you see just the train. Almost every, I think, minus Fenny, every 675 class car in this race belongs to Taniguchi Racing Team. And then leading the 640 class is Nico. Kyoko, damage early on and a bit of a weak engine from what I heard, put her even behind the 600 class car. She's the only car that's taken damage thus far. Somewhere along the way, Iwasaki got ahead of Ellie, and his final target is the monochromatic F50 of Ambrose. Tries to get to the F50s outside. We saw what happened the last time somebody went around the outside of Nick Ambrose at this turn, but Jinte will not fall for the same problems. He will take the lead away from the Ferrari driver. Francesca Fidanzi has gotten ahead of the Pantera. Now he's going to look for a pass on Liza Kaiser as well. In the background, her dad. What yellow? I see no yellow. Well, I found out what the yellow flag was from. Ellie's car bottomed out when she hit the brakes. It's deja vu, but that was so much worse than what happened in Tokyo earlier this week. Ellie really needs to work on her left lead foot. My God. Put in the brakes so hard, woman. You're in a Porsche. You don't got stability like that. You've got... Don't say that. Just don't say that, Riker. Your engine's back there. The weight distribution is wrong. That's why Porsches suck and don't know how you can drive them damn things. There's so many euphemisms I could be making, and it's very hard not to. Penny Golden, finally been overtaken by the Fidanzi duo, but I think she's okay with that. She's still got the lead in the category. You know, I'm sure the Fidanzi family have no problem. They're probably quite impressed to see an Italian car running like that in the first place. We have begun what will likely be the final lap of the race, as we're also partway through it. Iwasaki gets ahead of the lapped car Kyoko Sugimoto, her S14. I believe she was dealing with some overheating. I heard post-race from Hikari. Oh, no. I mean, I heard it from a lot of them. I'd heard it from literally all of them. Akira, Hikari, Michiko, they all said the same thing. S14 overheating. She was kind of going at half power just to keep the car from blowing up, as you can see. The race got very spread out. Ellie obviously had to pit after she did massive damage to her 992. And so that's going to leave the 715 class Carrera on the overall podium, as driven by Stephanie Kaiser. Beating both her mother and her worst enemy, so I've been told, to the punch. But it's going to be one of our admins taking victory. Motoya Iwasaki takes home the gold for the roulette race of Barcelona. Nick Ambrose second, just by almost by default. The other 750 class car that didn't crash. Stephanie with an overall podium. Penny Golden winning the 675 category on her Pantera's first race, defeating 6 different members of the newly formed Taniguchi race team, so not really their best work, I would say. They had the numbers advantage, literally a 6-1 battle, and although they beat Ellie, who crashed her car, they couldn't beat a Pantera. As close as John Large was at some point or another. The 640 class will go to Nico by quite a margin, actually, as Arisa herself was actually falling back into the clutches of Logan, who wins the 600 category. I almost wonder if Logan could have passed her if there were another lap to the race, but we will never know. But with that said, that is it for episode 106. Nico has left Mercury. I am conflicted on the matter. And Black Stallion Motorsports is no more. It has been renamed and assets transitioned over to the possession of Ambrose and Ambrose Racing Company. Could have at least been incorporated. Who has a company for racing? It's called a team, you idiot.